It's karate time. You know, I was trying to think about an intro for this video, and that's what I came up with. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. All right, guys, we have Karate Kid Legends. And if you can tell by the tone of my voice, I was really looking forward to this movie. Coming in at 1 hour and 34 minutes, PG-13. This is being directed by Mr. Jonathan Entwistle. And I've never heard of him before, but this is what the gentleman looks like. If we scroll down to look at this good old filmography and click director, you will see that this is his first full-length feature. He has been doing TV projects all in the past. There was a nice interview that Perry Nemiroff did from Collider.com where they spoke about this briefly. If you are familiar with this man's work or know who he is, fan of his past films or television shows, please let me know down in the comment section below. Now, when it comes to the Karate Kid, I am a die-hard fan. I've seen Karate Kid 1, 2, 3, and 4. I've seen all 5 or 6 or 7 seasons of Cobra Kai. I have seen the remake of Karate Kid that came out in 2010 with Jaden Smith and Taraji P. Henson. And I really did enjoy that film. Wow, that was 15 years ago. Wow. Anyway, I really did enjoy that film. I love the whole Karate Kid franchise. Even when it comes to Cobra Kai, I was like, okay, we need to bring Hilary Swank back from Karate Kid 4. And now that we're combining these universes, because I thought the Jackie Chan movie was its own separate thing, and it was, but now they're combining. I'm like, hey, is Jaden Smith gonna pop up in future sequels? It depends on how we do with this movie right here. And if you are familiar with my channel, if you subscribe, you know this, but if you're new here, please subscribe. You know, or now you will know, that superhero comic book movies are my favorite type of entertainment to cover, but on top of that, martial arts. And so I love the franchise of Cobra Kai and Karate Kid, and I just love martial arts in general. And then you have Jackie Chan with Kung Fu and Ralph Macchio. And I don't even think I just said his name correctly, but I'm a fan, no disrespect to you, sir. I was really, really looking forward to this. And so my expectations weren't like super duper high, but I was expecting to be entertained. I was expecting to have a good time. But it was a little weird for me when Mr. Han in the trailers was like, your base is in Kung Fu, but now we want to transition over to karate. I'm not saying that I'm like a martial arts expert or anything like that by far, but that just seemed like a bunch of BS. But hey, I was gonna go in with an open mind, open heart, suspend my disbelief just a little bit. But before I get into all the nitty gritty, before I talk about all my likes and dislikes, let me tell you exactly what Karate Kid Legends is all about. After Kung Fu prodigy Li Fong relocates to New York City, he attracts unwanted attention from a local karate champion and embarks on a journey to enter the ultimate karate competition with the help of Mr. Han and Daniel LaRusso. Now, the first thing that I actually did like about this movie, I actually loved, is all of the characters. Nobody got on my nerve. I was on board with everybody from beginning to end. And beginning with the lead character by the name of Li Fong, played by Ben Wong. I've never heard of him before, but the man does have talent. He does have charisma. I liked his presence. I liked the way he carried himself. Not a pushover, but not like a super duper macho guy either. Not a wimp or anything like that. Just a regular guy that wants to do the best in everything that he does. I like the way that he talks to his elders, his families, his friends. I like the way he courts women that he's interested in dating. I thought he had some game. I thought he was somewhat of a smooth talker. I thought he was somewhat of a decent fighter with a base on Kung Fu. Overall, I did like the guy. He was very entertaining, and I now look forward to future projects that he is going to be a part of. And not just him, I like the whole cast. I like Jackie Chan as Mr. Han. I like Daniel LaRusso, the original Karate Kid. I also like Midnight Wing. She has been in the game and acting for a minute. I remember her last from the ABC Disney show Shields, or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That show was not that great, but she was a part of that, and I enjoyed her. And anytime I've seen her pop up in anything else, I did enjoy her as well. There's no harm done as far as the characters are concerned across the board. And guys, we also have Joshua Jackson. Who doesn't like Joshua Jackson? If you grew up in the 90s, you know him from Mighty Ducks. I don't know him personally, but anytime I've ever seen him pop up or anything, I'm like, oh, that's the Mighty Ducks guy right there. I think his name was Charlie back in that movie. I don't really remember, but he was a nice addition to this movie as well. taking up a large subplot, a large duration of the film. Well, I'll talk about that more later, but his presence on screen was delightful. He was another great character. He also had a young daughter in this film too, and I like their relationship. I like their dynamic. She was more of the adult where he was, I don't want to say slacker, but just really didn't reach his full potential or made some bad decisions and it's kind of coming back to bite him. But I liked him. I liked all the characters. Like I said, there was not one character in this film that I did not like or left a bad taste in my mouth. For me, I also like when a film can bounce around to multiple locations, especially globally around the world. We have some of the film in China, some in California, and some in New York. If you are familiar with the franchise, you know why that makes sense. I also did like the fighting in this film too. If we have a movie called Karate Kid, where we're going to be talking about karate and kung fu, and you don't have decent fight scenes, the film is going to fail in epic proportions, okay? It's just not gonna work. I'm not saying this is the best martial arts choreographed film in the world, but it was pretty decent. They did get a little extra with some of the jumping, spinning, dragging kicks and flipping off walls, but that has been an apparent kind of inside joke with the whole Karate Kid Cobra Kai franchise, especially with the show from the beginning. I'm not gonna complain too much there as far as how realistic it is, but I will give credit because it is consistent with the entire series, with the entire IP. So we're not getting anything new that we haven't got before. And guys, something else that I did appreciate are all the jokes, the comedy, the humor. I did laugh at all the jokes in this film. And there were moments in the film to where there was tension building in the scene, and you're led to believe that you need to take this moment seriously. But I did a pretty good job of cutting that tension with humor, with comedy, with jokes. And I laughed. It was perfect. It wasn't like the MCU to where it's a serious moment and they shoehorn a joke in there and just ruins everything. That wasn't the case here. I really did appreciate it. I was saying to myself, okay, this is a little early for these characters to be going down this road this early. Do a joke in there to level everything out. I liked it. Great job there. Great comedic timing. Great job, director and writers. So the characters were great. I liked the location. I was laughing throughout the whole movie, and I liked the fight choreography. But guys, to be honest with you, I have to stop right there for a stop as far as the things that I liked about the film. Now we got to transition to some things that really just did not work for me and rubbed me the wrong way. All right, guys, the first thing that I did not like about this film is just the overall feeling after it ended. Nothing felt earned. A lot of it felt forced and undercooked, underdeveloped, and that really did rub me the wrong way. There felt like there was no passion put into this film, like this was just a cash grab, like, hey, Karate Kid is popular, let's just make some money. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. In every film and television show in cinematic history wants to earn money, wants to gain a profit. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. But in addition to that, there needs to be some type of passion tied into it so you can have a good product. And that does not feel like the case here. It feels rushed, like they were just checking off a box. Let's start with Daniel LaRusso, the original Karate Kid. He's barely in the film. If you were signing up for this, if you paid for a ticket to see this movie, Karate Kid Legends, and you wanted to see a good amount of Daniel LaRusso, you'll be highly disappointed. The same thing with Jackie Chan as Mr. Han. He's in the film a little bit more than Daniel LaRusso, but not much, and it really does grind my gears. On top of that, it just makes no sense for Mr. Han to be in the film given the plot that they tried to deliver. It doesn't add up. Like in this entire movie, things are just happening with no full explanation. Daniel LaRusso and Mr. Han are trying to train Li Fong for a tournament at the end of this movie, like the biggest tournament in New York. But Mr. Han does not know some of the main trials and tribulations that the lead character Lee has gone through. There's no communication. They never did have that dialogue in the film. The only reason that Li Fong knew about this tournament is because it was introduced to him by his soon-to-be girlfriend that was an ex of Connor, a bully in a local karate school. He's being picked on in the train, at the store, at school, wherever. That was the main point of Lee trying to enter this tournament. But that is not the motivation of Mr. Han. They never have that conversation. So while Lee is training to enter this tournament and beat up the bully, Mr. Han doesn't know that. Mr. Han thinks that Li Fong is in the tournament for some other subplot that's abandoned. That's some of the worst writing I've ever encountered in any YouTube video I've ever made or any written review I've ever wrote. Like, there was just a huge disconnect there. And about the motivation of Mr. Han wanting Li Fong to enter the tournament, It's to help out another character, Joshua Jackson, who I was talking about earlier, being played by Victor Lipani. There is a subplot that takes up too much screen time of him wanting to come back to his glory days and get back in the field as a fighter. And that takes up a good 30 minutes of the movie, and this is completely unnecessary. Instead of us spending time there, we need to be spending time more with Li Fong and his training, more with him and Daniel LaRusso trying to learn karate and the deeper lessons that Kung Fu has as well. Now, going back to some of my positives, I do like a lot of the philosophies that they had in this film as far as martial arts is concerned. That was pretty dope. That was pretty accurate. 2 thumbs up right there. Just one prime example of how Kung Fu is just not about fighting. Kung Fu is life. So literally everything that you do is Kung Fu, and it will make your life that better and flow much smoother. Just a deeper example of when you're making pizza. Okay, how are you making the pizza? Are you doing some type of wax on or wax off? There you go, going back to the original Karate Kid. I like how they intertwine that and everything else with Kung Fu and karate in this film. That was dope right there, so a good job. However, it was too brief. We should have got more of it, but we're spending time with Joshua Jackson in the boxing ring and at the pizza parlor and him owing money. And that's just something that I'm just not interested in, okay? They missed the opportunity there. Again, we should have got more Jackie Chan. We should have got more Daniel LaRusso in them training with their fighting montages, which was great as well. I did like the fighting montages and the edits and all that. Another thing I didn't like about this movie is it's like the police just don't exist. Nobody's going to jail. There's people getting murdered and assaulted left and right here and there, and just no one is getting in trouble for it. No one is being held accountable. And I know this is a movie about fighting, and people are going to get punched and kicked in the face. But at the same time, there are rules, there are laws that you just cannot break in a public area, especially when you're in high school. So the fact that there is no type of officers, police, authority at all in this movie, well, there should have been a plethora, that really did bother me too. And also just the beginning of this movie, you've seen it before. They are copying exactly what the 1984 original film did in this plot, and also the 2010 version with Jaden Smith. Now, the reason why the 2010 remake or reboot with Jaden Smith worked was, yes, it was somewhat of a carbon copy, but it was completely different characters in a completely different location and completely different fighting style. And they changed up a few things here and there, but it still had the bones. This is just a copy of that. So like the first 30 minutes, you're like, man, I've seen this before. We've done this, been there. I don't want to see this again. This is just, it's not even as good. It's just a cheap, watered down version of what we've seen before in those past 2 films. And that was very, very annoying. And let's talk about the villain named Connor. I mean, he's just a generic bully. Like, there's no development to him at all. No backstory, no rhyme or reason why he has a chip on his shoulder. I mean, you've seen this before. Oh, why are you talking to my girl? That's my girl. I know she said that we're not together no more, but I say we're still together, and now I'm gonna whoop your ass. And it's just like, this is corny, okay? Like, it's just not working. I don't like it. Is there anything else interesting about your character? Because right now, you're not doing it for me. And what makes things worse, guys, is they abandon that part of the story and then try to pick it up later. Like, he's a bully in the first act of the film, and then you really don't see him until the very end. He's just a person that you have to fight. And he just has a teacher that's an asshole too, that gets maybe 2 minutes of screen time as well. But guys, there is no connective tissue in this film at all. Now, again, you do have characters that you like and make you laugh, but there are so many different stories and subplots in this film that are either undercooked or abandoned. And then at the end of the film, it's like Frankenstein's monster, how they just try to mesh them all together to a rushed conclusion. There's no buildup, there's no tension, there's no stakes. If Lee lost this tournament at the end, I would just probably would have laughed and not cared. And even if he won, it was just no big deal, because there's also just no emotional state to this film. Like, you like the characters, but you don't care about their mission. It feels unearned, it feels forced. This whole thing just felt unnecessary. Guys, this movie was a huge disappointment. It was. But to be honest with you, that's just my opinion. Because when the credits hit in this film, everybody applauded, everybody cheered in my auditorium, at least more than half. But it's still a feel-good, fun movie. But out of all the Karate Kids, out of all the Cobra Kai seasons, this has to be the absolutely worst out of them all. I still had fun, and I think you will too, especially with the way that my audience reacted at the end. So, I'm dancing if I should give this a pass or not, and I think I am. So I'll give my rating for this at the very end of this video. But for now, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel and help me reach my next milestone of 60,000 subscribers. You won't regret it if you do. So if I had to give Karate Kid Legends a rating out of a 1 out of 10, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. Yes, a 6 out of 10. You know, I'm dancing if I want to give it a 5.5, but no, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. So it barely passed. It's a fun movie, but it's not that great. It's okay. It's nothing to rush to the theater about. I'm really disappointed, Jackie Chan, with all the expertise you've had over the past 40 and 50 years. I just wish that you would have put your foot down. I'm like, no, this is whack. I'm Jackie Chan. We're going to do this the right way. But guys, again, I just want to thank you again for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery. That's just my opinion. Peace. And I'll see you next time.